I may have finally found the perfect controller for PC use. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Hit the intro. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Sergi J in 4K. We are back with another review. This time more of a long-term hands-on review with the Scuf Envision Pro controller that I've been using. Now this again is a PC controller exclusively, does not work on consoles unfortunately, but I can tell you I think I may have finally found the perfect controller if you're a PC player. Now if this is your first time checking me out, I do tech reviews, a bunch of other things as well, so if you're interested, definitely hit that like, hit that sub button, greatly appreciate it. But without further ado, as I mentioned, prior to using this, I was using another Scuf controller, as well as another one, which I'll show you. I was using the Scuf. This is the Reflex Pro FPS. I used this for a while. Unfortunately, as you've read with other reports, this eventually did start getting stick drift. As you can see, though, this thing is pretty beat. So, I mean, I put this through its passes. So, I mean, the stick drift, unfortunate. I really can't say too much about it. It didn't really disappoint me because, I mean, again, when you're using something consistently for a long time, I think I used this for about a year and a half, it's gonna happen, whatever. So I switched to the DualSense Edge controller. And I could tell you this controller is nice. Definitely, unfortunately, though, only really catered towards if you own a PlayStation 5. You can use this on PC, but now with the Envision Pro being out, I can no longer recommend the PlayStation Edge controller. Expensive still. I want to say it's like what, $200. You may be able to find it on sale elsewhere, and it has a lot of limitations to it. You can't even set up a lot of the button customization unless you have a PlayStation 5. So that right there is downside number one. And then of course other games, depending on what launcher you use, don't even recognize that controller. So again, not something that I can suggest anymore for the majority of users. Different story with the Envision Pro. The Envision Pro has been awesome. I ordered this the first day that it came out, and I've been using it ever since. Now, myself, I do play a lot of Warzone, Modern Warfare games, or Call of Duty, should I say. But I have also, occasionally dabbled in games like Fortnite, things like that. Obviously, being that this is PC exclusive, it does work in all of those games and with all of those launchers. Has been very clutch. Now, the fit in the hand, I can tell you, is going to be my biggest thing about this controller that I do love. It fits perfectly. The grip on the back, now if you got the Envision Pro, you do get the grip. If you get the standard Envision, you don't get the grip, so that part does kind of suck. But we're talking about the Pro here. So, I mean, the grip is perfect. The hand, held system that you pretty much, when you're holding it while playing long hours, is great. It doesn't ever really get tired. You don't really cramp up with your hands. The button placement is perfect. You still get, if you're a PlayStation player, you still get the joysticks right here. Although, I wouldn't have minded if the joystick was up here like an Xbox controller. It is what it is. Now, obviously, being a PC controller, and I know I've had some people that have asked this, you do get the Xbox style buttons, so you don't get X, square, triangle, circle. That, I could tell you, isn't really a big issue, just because, of course, I have played Xbox. But you get used to it pretty quickly because the button layout is the same. Whether you play PlayStation or Xbox, you can have it be the same. So you get very used to that. So the buttons are awesome. I mean, they're all tactile, PC style clicks. I don't know how well the mic will pick that up. And that being even for the D-pad, all the buttons here, those aren't clicky, but these are. The triggers are clicky. And then of course you get the back buttons. The ones on the edge here are not clicky, but the interior ones are clicky. But I just feel like it's all placed perfectly. The actual triggers and the R1, L1, or XB, RB, or LB, RB, whatever you want to call it. Those, you get used to them. It's not too bad itself, just because, again, it's pretty much placed right there. So the good thing is you don't even have to be sitting here with your fingers. You can be in the middle and you can still hit both of them. Now, obviously, if you're not playing an FPS game, all you do is you toggle that and it turns back into a standard joystick or trigger, should I say, whatever you want to call it. So that's not bad at all. But myself, being primarily an FPS player, mine stay like that. Now, I know one of the big things that a lot of people did have questions on as well that I didn't really touch on in the initial unboxing was the actual wireless. So you use this to play wireless. This is a dongle you plug into a USB on the computer. I have played wirelessly. Now, I haven't done any latency like speed tests or anything like that, but I can confirm that playing wirelessly with this controller is identical to playing wired. Now, myself, I do still prefer to play wired, but you don't notice any difference if you play wirelessly. You know, it's very quick. You know, all the customizations are the same. Pretty much you still get all the G keys. You have the access to the sax buttons. You have all of that you can still use wirelessly, so that's great. Now, another one of the big things that I have liked about this controller is the actual customization experience with their app that they give you, or that you have to download, should I say. Very straightforward once you get a hang of it. You can customize pretty much everything except for the only two buttons that I think you couldn't customize were the start and these. And I believe these two buttons, the A and the X, or whatever, one of those buttons. But I know the A you definitely can't customize. And that's just, I'd imagine, to just leave it standard. But other than that, not bad. You know, pretty much you can control the G keys. These are pretty cool. You can set these for a number of things. You can create, you know, pretty much things to get you back to different windows. You can open certain apps. You can play, pause music. Myself, I have one set up to join my Discord lobby and disconnect from my Discord lobby. I do have a Stream Deck for that as well, but with this, you don't even have to reach for anything. You can do it all from the controller, so that's awesome. Now, the sax buttons, these here I can tell you come in clutch. I know I've seen a lot of reviews of people that say that they accidentally hit these. I'll be honest with you, I have accidentally hit them from time to time, but not very often to where it's been that much of an issue. But the sax buttons are great because, I mean, with these, you can customize them to anything. You can do macros, you know, and again, macros, you know, if you're a player, for example, like let's say you're a combat, like you're playing like a fighting game, you can pretty much do moves that you can do and you just press that button and it'll automatically do it for you. Same thing if you're playing COD. Now, I don't condone, you know, obviously everyone doing macros because, you know, whether you call that cheating or not, it's up for debate. But you can even customize these to be macros if like you're shooting, like when you drop in for example, you're playing Warzone, you have your pistol, you can just drop this and it'll fire for you multiple times. Now, I've tried it. It's not something I do all the time, just to see if it worked, just to see if I found anything else as far as for like slide canceling. Obviously, we do have Modern Warfare 3 coming out later this week. But with that, you can do all of it, and it's awesome. You can't do that on, you know, obviously you can't do that on the DualSense Edge. You can't do that on the Reflex Pro FPS either. This, of course, this was the go-to controller that I used to suggest prior to this controller coming out, just because it feels great in the hands. You get the click triggers as well. Only downside though is that you're stuck with that. So if you want to play other games, you don't have the ability to switch them. Whereas with this, you still get the clicky triggers, but you can obviously switch them to where you get the full range of motion. So that's great. Now, I can tell you as well, I don't know if anyone's been confused by this, but this actually doesn't do anything like the PlayStation controller does. This obviously has a purpose. You can press down on that. Whereas with this, it's just hard plastic. You don't do anything there. But yeah, I can tell you as far as my use, I've had this now about 2-3 weeks. And in the 2-3 weeks that I've had it, I've played with this exclusively. And I don't know if it's just kind of like a placebo effect or something, but I feel like I've actually played better with this as well. It could just be because the controller is much, you know, easier to hold in the hands. You can, and obviously you see that you get the stock joysticks here, but you can switch them out if you want. If you saw the unboxing, you'll see these as well. But you can switch them to these. These come with them. This is the taller one, and you get like a semi-tall one. Myself, I use these though, and I use the standard Control Freaks grip that I put on it. So as you can see there, it actually still fits. This is the one for the PlayStation controller. So it actually still fits fine and no issues there. And this to me is actually better playing like this than it is playing with the joysticks that they give you. That's just personal preference. I know so a lot of people use those, some people don't. Obviously a lot of people do swear by these, and I can tell you in my use using these, they've been great. The range of motion feels good, still very sticky and tactile. You get that feeling. And obviously the good thing with that is it does still fit. Now, if you do switch the joysticks though, unfortunately, this will not fit on the other joysticks that they give you. It doesn't go over these. So these must be like a different style. And obviously that's just because it is Scuf exclusive. So, you know, these are not PlayStation joysticks. So that could be why you're not seeing that. They may, you know, it may fit other ones. Like if you get Control Freaks from a different brand or from a different style controller, Xbox, maybe Nintendo Switch, it might fit. But in my experience, the stock ones are perfectly fine. So definitely good there. But yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed this controller. This is not sponsored by Scuf. Scuf did not send this to me. I paid for this with my own money. I know there'll be a lot of people in the comment section that, will ask me to check back once stick drift happens. In my opinion, yes, stick drift does suck. Would we like to get Hall effect joysticks so that prevents and never does happen? Of course, but I mean, in all honesty, these are something that we use, and obviously if you're playing, you're using these very often, it's going to break down eventually. Yeah, it's not expensive. It's not necessarily the cheapest controller. It's not the most expensive though. It is a lot more affordable than the Reflex Pro FPS. Definitely a good point there. But I mean, I can tell you, if you're a PC player exclusively, I can no longer suggest the other two options. This is my go-to option because of the customization, the fact that it works great. The latency, wired or wireless, is awesome. So I mean, if you're a wireless player, you're not, being held back. It's still really good. You can watch other videos. They've done latency tests. There's no need to overclock this controller because pretty much overclocked is going to run the same. Now, maybe in other firmware updates, because you can update the firmware on this through the Corsair app, they may allow, changes to be done. But as of right now, not necessary because, again, wired or wirelessly, you are running the same latency, which is great. Again, in my experience, I've actually had to lower the control sensitivity on Warzone and Call of Duty because with this, it actually feels like it runs a little quicker. So, I mean, take that as you will. But yeah, definitely, the controller that I will use going forward, I have another one of these. It's in a box that's sitting there ready to, for when this one eventually does give out, just so that I have it ready to go. Now, hopefully that doesn't happen for a while, but if it does, I'm ready. Ultimately, though, the cool thing is that Scuf did change the warranty on these. I believe it used to be like a 3-month warranty. You now get a year warranty on these. So if that does happen, within a year, hopefully you are covered by Scuf. And by then, I'm sure, the turnaround time on these won't be too long. When I ordered these, obviously they do ship from outside of the country. I believe the one that I ordered from Scuf directly, that took like about a week and a half. It came from somewhere in Europe is where it came from. So obviously, that's going to take a little bit of time. But I'd imagine as, more and more time passes, they'll have more in stock. They do also now offer these to where you can customize them. Whereas when I ordered this, you had the white option, you had the black option. Now you can customize the face plates. So hopefully eventually, and pretty soon I'm thinking you might see that Scuf actually does start selling different faceplates because, the faceplate on this pops off very easily. It's all magnetic. And if that happens, even more customization and you're still saving money. And again, at that point, you can use this on all launchers for PC exclusively. You have those sax buttons, which are awesome, again, because you can customize these to whatever you want just to make it pretty much easier for you to game. And then, of course, you still get the G keys. So yeah, just, a quick update that I wanted to go ahead and give you guys because I know I said would be doing a hands-on review and, obviously do a review once I've had it some time. And I can say that, I've put 20, 30 hours of gaming into this controller within the last few weeks and it still holds up and is definitely the greatest controller I can tell you that I've used for PC gaming. So if you're in the market for a controller, definitely keep this option in mind. Again, if you're a PC player, because the other ones, obviously you can use for other consoles, but they are fairly limited. Whereas with this, you get full customization. But yeah, just, quick updates. If you guys have any other questions that you want me to address, definitely let me know. Until then, guys, it's been your boy, Sergi J. I'm checking out. Have a good day.